Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have heard from numerous sources over several months in relation to the carbon cost adjuster, warning about the removal of the CCA. Recently in the Telegraph Journal, Convenience Industry of Canada, Atlantic Vice President Mike Hammond said, other than a political promise, we're very, very shocked that we're even here having this conversation today. I've talked to retailers. They are going to be out of business very quick, and the constituents are going to be calling the office of the MLAs, both opposition and government, I might add, saying that they can't put gas in their car. With all the experts strongly advising against the removal of the CCA, who can the Minister of Energy point to that is advocating for the removal of the CCA?
I recognize the Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite. I was kind of worried that he's going to ask me about my schedule and if I was talking to media and if I did media training, because apparently that's the concern that New Brunswickers have that they've been looking at all summer. So to actually have a subject to talk about is really, really interesting. To the member's question is, who is asking us? New Brunswickers. That's who's saying it. All of it. New Brunswickers are saying they don't like this formula. It is a temporary formula that was put in 3 years ago. And when does temporary stop being temporary? We have asked to remove this. We've promised to do it. We are going to remove it. And EUB has said that probably they will have some hearings with the industry. They know this. Chris Stewart was in public accounts. I think the member was there when the session was in. But we are going to remove this because New Brunswickers have asked us to do it and they want it done.
I recognize the member for Fredericton-Grand Lake.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know what? As an MLA for Fredericton-Grand Lake, I get all kinds of calls. I get calls about bridges, I get calls about roads, I get calls about emergency room visits, I get calls about lack of doctors, I get calls about everything. I've never once gotten a call from a constituent say, will you please remove the CCA? No. What a ridiculous answer. Madam Speaker, the reality is this minister cannot point to one expert. This government's all about data, all about facts. They want to review, consult, they want to strike commissions and committees, yet they don't want to act. And on this one, for some crazy reason, they want to remove it. So my question is for the minister again, does he plan on taking the fall when dozens of gas stations close across New Brunswick, or will the Premier wear that?
I recognize the Minister for Energy. Thank you, Madam Speaker. In all the conversations that we've had, that the member for Fredericton-Grand Lake had, he didn't talk to his leader of the official opposition because he said that it was time to remove the carbon tax, the COCA, during his speech. So yesterday it was, please remove this formula, and today they say don't touch it. So are they talking together, or maybe there's a division within their party?
I recognize the member for Fredericton-Grand Lake.
So let me remind the Minister of Energy, it was our government that put the CC in for the very specific reason of protecting consumers so they can fill their tank when they need to fill their tank. So the Liberals made this campaign promise in the hopes of saving 7 cents a litre. What they're not telling New Brunswickers is that, yeah, you'll save 7 cents a litre and you'll drive an extra 60 kilometres to fill your tank because all the gas stations are closing in rural areas. So, Madam Speaker, I got a question for the Minister of Economic Development. This is going to close small retail businesses. Small mom-and-pop shops are going to be out of work. He understands, I hope, the economic impact this will have on New Brunswickers. He should also understand that people in rural areas, they still need gas in their car to get to work. What's the Minister of ONB and the Minister of Economic Development going to tell New Brunswickers when they can't fill their tanks and people are out of work?
Right.
I recognize the Minister responsible for opportunities, New Brunswick.
On a day that the opposition is standing up and saying, Madam Speaker, that we aren't speaking to the media. I'm surprised, though, that on days that they're saying we aren't speaking to the media, that when every single newspaper in this country shows the President of the United States saying they are cutting off trade talks with Canada, that we would be talking about an affordability measure that is going to help this economy, that is going to reduce prices to get transportation of goods and services around this province. I am surprised that this is the response to one of the most devastating pieces of news that we have seen in weeks. Thank you, Madam Speaker.